Hello, everybody, and welcome back to round 7 of the Limitless Qualifier Freeze, sponsored by PCA. This round, we're gonna have a match from the player's perspective of Bryan de Vries. But firstly, I want to say welcome to Martin Wagner, who is commentating this with me. What's up,
Hey, what's
Martin?
up? Feels good to be back. I had a little bit of a break, so super nice to be back here. Just some late back watching those games and just making my own thoughts. And yeah, I think we have a rather classic matchup right now. You know, back in the day we had Welderbox versus Pika a lot, and who would have guessed it? Both decks are really strong, and yeah, we just see that matchup once again.
I like how you say back in the day that was really just this season,
It
really
was
that.
like it started I think like 5 or 6 months ago, and it was
Oh, that was long before it started at Worlds already, man.
yeah.
And
So
then it started in the testing up to Worlds, and then since Worlds, this has been a classic
yeah,
of the format. And of course, Pikachu Zekrom needs no introduction. One of the most aggressive decks in the format, really. It's really amazing how it can be so aggressive versus Ability Sard or Welder Box, as has now become to call because people are starting removing the Charizard tag team. Also, a really aggressive deck. So, with these two aggressive decks tagging up against each other, what do you think is going to happen here?
um I think overall the matchup dynamic, I felt like it was in favor of the Firebox for a long time, and I always felt quite confident going into the matchup. If you don't let Pika take bolts and ruin your whole board, then you're usually good. And if you, of course, it all depends if you hit your welders or not. But like, let's just assume you get your normal setup, right? Then you should be fine versus Pika. But in this matter, I'm not sure. I think that Pika's just so strong and is so explosive that it's going to be really hard um, for Welderbox to deal with it, because you don't really have those attackers that hit for 300 damage for turn 2, except like a Heatran, for example. You don't have those big tag teams that can sometimes just tank a hit from Pika.
Yeah, exactly. And that means that every time that Bryan gets a knockout against him, he is going to lose all these energies all the time, and he has to build them up constantly using Walder. And it might just be a struggle for Bryan in the end to actually get this set up to the point where he's fine with his opponent taking a few prizes sometimes. And it's going to be a difficult matchup for Bryan, but we know what caliber of player Bryan is, really. So
Yeah, he's
if
been
there's
really
any
good and really
way,
consistent lately, so
he's been
it's
consistent for as long as I know him for, and I've known the guy since 2013. So he has been crushing in both seniors and masters division. He's only a couple years older than me. He's around 20 right now. Bryan is, and he's been really consistent, as you said, and he's really had good showings. See, for example, top 32 Worlds this year with the Pikachu Zekrom deck, which he apparently now is playing against.
yeah, even though his start looked a little bit shaky in the beginning, right? His hand was like 5 energy and 2 communication. He was able to top deck a Pokemon and go for communication for the then setting up his board. And yeah, now having the follow-up welder already is pretty good, but you surely hope you don't get knocked out right here, because yeah, that would be a really huge tempo swing in your favor if your opponent would miss the knockout out right there. And that's, I think, the one turn that Pika can sometimes stumble if you need your energies to be switched around a lot. And in combination with a few Electropowers, sometimes Pika can miss that. So yeah, I think Bryan hopes that his Victini V will survive another turn.
Yeah, of course, it's a very shaky position just passing with every TNV in the active. And of course, Pika can hit these turns where they full blitz with double electro power, ultimately knocking out a Victini V like this. What can seem very easily, but of course, you still have to hit the combo first. And really looking at it right now, the board position looks fine. He has Tapu Koko in play, uses Dance of the Ancients.
Yeah, that's the
Now he
important
only needs
piece.
a Thunder Mountain or Energy Switch to actually make this attack happen.
Yes, and then we will see how many Electropowers are there. But actually, Just taking it a little bit slower. I like this approach. This is a strategy that is, I think, new with, or like at
You have the
least a little
bolt
bit
hunt.
unusual with the bolt hunt. You can set up for, as we said earlier, for turn 2 tech bolt without even having to risk your Pika by full blitzing. So that's like a strategy that
Exactly.
is possible, but I haven't seen it executed before, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we might just be lucky and be one of the first ones to see this strategy executed exactly. And the strategy seems quite legit now we're looking at it. Charging out with bolt hunt. And now his opponent has 6 energies in play already. Really a fast start getting out of the gates here. Of course, not doing any damage, which is the main attraction of Full Blitz, of course, with charging the free energies. But Bolton doing the job right now as it needs to.
Yeah, like this way Pika becomes even more consistent, right? If you with the turn 1 full blitz, which can sometimes happen, I believe it's like something between 50 and 60% that you get it, you can just go for the bolt hunt. Or if you like even Brian's opponent even had the combo, but he was lacking electro power probably, or was afraid of getting knocked out. So he just went for a little bit of a defensive approach, and yeah, that's another super nice option Pika has. And Bryan is just settling for a setup on the 2-shot, hitting for 180, getting the gust effect with the Ninetales, super strong of course, but that's not taking a knockout, and now he will probably fall behind in the price trade.
Yeah, exactly. Because putting this Pika into shooting range should definitely be him falling behind in prizes. But with this Bolton taking the knockout,
Without
honestly,
any
can
effort,
be.
Ball Storm for 220.
Yeah, exactly. And Brian's falling way far behind. And speaking of
Mm.
these defensive plays, these smart plays, that is what we come to expect here when we're in these mid stages of the tournament with players like Bryan and his opponent as well having a record of 5-1.
You're really nice. Brian's probably looking for access to the dinner right here. You need more cards. You want to fuel your combo, but I don't see it. There's no access to it just yet. Both Stellar Wishes have been used, so you're in a really, really tough spot right here, and you will most likely just lose another turn. Oh no, there's the pass. There's a Faulkner from Brian's opponent, and yeah, now you really have all the options. You are not afraid of getting hand disrupted in any way, versus Box, of course. And
No, of course, they play no defensive tools outside, perhaps a single reset stamp at some point, but with all these energies in play, he doesn't need that much. It's basically just draw an attack almost at this point when he gets to it, because he is really well set up to deal with whatever Brian's gonna throw at him. So yeah, it looks really hard for Bryan in this stage, and I'm not sure if there's a lot he can do with the board he's presented to right now. Bryan doesn't even have an attacker on board. He's already behind by 3 prizes.
yeah, now it becomes so difficult. I can't really imagine like a line of play right now. I th- mm, yeah, because if you knock out the Pika, which is like the biggest threat right now, your opponent can always just respond with the Bolt Storm, which will deal a lot of damage. And I think he still has all of his electro powers left, so the damage buffing cards are still live, and you have to be afraid of those. So you will be your opponent will be able to trade back, and if you're 3 prizes behind, and you can't out trade, then looks really dire.
Yeah, that too, and especially in Bryan's position when his opponent has so many outs to get what he needs to get. Of course,
No,
it looks like a really dire situation here. But
no
Bryan,
hit off the Stellar Wish either, right? So no more draw, no additional cards drawn. And
exactly, and
if
it
this is a
looks
heads,
like. Oh,
Thunder Mountain, no, he just needs to retreat and tag bolt. So tag bolt without full
GG!
blitz, not on turn 3.
Tackle for 3 prizes, and Bryan gets to scoop.
Yeah,
just before he sees the truth of Tag Bolt, but that was such a quick game.
yeah,
Bryan unfortunately lost really, really fast there,
yeah.
and
Sometimes
there
with
was
weather
nothing really he
decks,
could do.
you just stumble a little bit in the early game, right? And I mean, you have those explosive starts sometimes, but yeah, if you stumble in the early game, there's nothing you can do, and it feels really bad because it's out of your control entirely if you just don't get any hits of the stellar wish, which can happen in a deck that plays like 18 energy, so you don't expect every single stellar wish to hit the perfect combo piece you need.
No.
And Pika just so much more consistent right now. um, and yeah, as we said, we will see. I think we will see a lot of Pika going forward. So
Yeah, with the
um,
special lightning and Bolton getting into his deck, it's just buffing the deck constantly over and over and over again.
I hope everyone is a fan of the red and the peak. Just tag
Yeah,
bolting around, and
yeah, especially after Pokemon with the new Rebel Clash that let the dogs out. It's definitely getting a lot stronger.
yeah. I think we will have time for another game after this, but we go for downtime really quickly and switch to another game and bring you another player, I believe. So
Yep.
see ya.
See ya.